Welcome to Cowes and the new Seaward Nelson 39. Now most people know what to expect from a boat like this, and that's pilot boat style, practicality, build quality and the ability to go through anything the sea can chuck at it. This particular boat though is a bit different for Seaward because it has a pair of double cabins below decks. It's also got a pair of Yanmar's 370 horsepower diesels and a price on the water ready to go of £750,000. We're going to go out to the Solent now and see if we can find some rough weather to play about in. Let's get going. Before we go though, I mentioned pilot boat styling, and that is no more obvious than up here on the foredeck where you've got such substantial rails, not only around the outside but also this inner rail. You even have a point for a harness which you can attach to, which is not something we see on many boats that we test. Beneath my feet you have this really grippy rubber matting. You don't have to have that, you can have traditional teak or fake teak, but this is really hassle-free and very, very safe. And then you notice that the line of the deck gets lower and lower as the water as you get amidships, and then by the time you're down here you've still got this railing that you can grab onto and lash fenders to, but it's very easy to step off at this midships point, and you also have access to the boat via the cockpit and the transom gate. Into the cockpit and the practical theme continues. There's always something to grab onto, be it up here or on the table. They've also widened the cockpit on this boat, so you go right out to the edge of the decks here, so you have even more seating space. We put the cushions away, but you can cover these seats in cushions so that it's more comfortable. And then you have your access to the saloon, which is via this very substantial door, clips open like that. And then you're into the wheelhouse, which is very traditional. It doesn't buck expectation, but everything works and it's incredibly solid. Again, it's practical, handholds up top, really thick fiddles on these surfaces so that they also act as something to hold on to. This boat doesn't have them, but you can have hatches in the roof here above these fantastic seats. These ones aren't actually suspension seats, but you can have them, but they're so comfortable. Big headrests, armrests, you can sit in here and plough through absolutely anything. And then you have your main seating area here. There's some changes that you can have on this boat. They're pretty open to customization, but this owner's just gone for this little stool here that you can move around this area, take it out into the cockpit. And then you have your galleon accommodation down on the lower deck. So we're going to have a look at that now. There are a handful of different layouts that you can have down on this lower deck. You can have a dinette down here, you can have two bathrooms, but this boat has a good compromise in that it has this huge galley to port and a nice big bathroom to starboard. This is a really good seagoing galley. It's a bit of a shame there aren't any fiddles on here because there's a fiddle on every other surface, but that aside, really practical and very easy to use. It's a seagoing boat and there are points like that all over the place. The fact that the doors clip in like that, they're not just relying on a magnet. When the doors are open, they clip in properly so they can't slam shut when you're at sea. And moving forward, you are into the master cabin. Now you can have a double bed here, but this has obviously got the split berth. But headroom's good, plenty of storage in here as well. And though you've only got small ports either side, there's a nice big skylight overhead, so there's plenty of natural light in here. The midships cabin, that's a bit more compromised. The berths are set at different levels. Headroom isn't great, but it's comfortable enough for short stays. We're going to find anything out here to challenge the 39 seakeeping, but what it does give us an opportunity to appreciate is how quiet this boat is. The yard has put in a huge amount of work to NVH, making sure that this boat is quiet, vibration free, isolation of the engine, beefing up the exhaust system and layer upon layer of insulation, and you really feel the effect of that in the wheelhouse. We've got the door shut now, but even with the door open it's lovely and quiet. Barely hear the engines when they're on tick over, and it means that on long journeys, which is what this boat's designed for, you can very easily converse with everybody in the saloon, and it means you don't get too tired either. So as I mentioned, this boat's got a pair of 370 horsepower Yanmar's. Top speed is around 24 knots. Comfortable cruising speed, fast cruising speed, I'd say 16 to 18 is where she feels really nice and comfortable. but there isn't actually any major change in fuel consumption between 12 and 20 knots, so it's quite versatile there. Then of course you can go down to displacement speed if you really want to ramp up your range. But it's so smooth. I mean, I know it's not rough today, and this boat can, you know, go through far worse than this very comfortably. But you have an impression, the way it just takes to the water, that you know that it's going to look after you. This renowned Arthur Mersel design Nelson hull. The other thing that's nice is, combined with the fantastic power steering on this boat, is actually she's got a really nice tight turning circle. That keel section really digs in and round she goes nice and quickly. Not too cumbersome, whips back round the other way, stays nice and flat. This boat does have Humphrey's interceptor system installed, which is constantly working to maintain the boat's trim. Combine that with this hull and you have a really nice stable boat that's just so easy to drive. It's a shame we didn't have any proper weather to test this thing out in the Solent today, because you really can't see how capable it is until you're in the teeth of a gale. But it doesn't take that weather to understand how much thought has gone into the design and build of this boat. The engineering is complicated, the design is simple, it uses a tried and trusted hull and really high quality craftsmanship. Now, it's not going to be for everybody, we know that, but then the Seaward customer isn't your average boat buyer. The owner of this boat, for example, a few weeks ago finished a job in Southampton at 3 p.m. and took the boat to Cherbourg for dinner. That is what the Seaward 39 can do. There are boats this size that are faster, more stylish, more spacious, but few of them, if any, look after you better than this.